I'm a cop on the Navajo reservation. I investigated a killer who steals his victim's skin. The finale. Slowly, the darkness that enveloped my senses begins to peel away, like the reluctant lifting of a sinister veil. Consciousness returns in fragments, each moment a disjointed piece of a larger, ominous puzzle. My ears are the first to awaken, and they are met with a sound that sends a shard of ice down my spine. The urgent, crackling voice of Mandy, her tone a cocktail of fear and desperation. Unit 17, do you copy? Logan, please respond. Her voice is the siren call back to the world of the living, a tether to the reality I had nearly slipped from. But as my vision swims back into a blurry semblance of clarity, my focus narrows on a singular, chilling sight: Izzy, or the abomination that wears her guise, standing over me. The moonlight drapes her in an inhuman glow, casting her in a light that is as mesmerizing as it is terrifying. Her hand, a grotesque distortion of the human form it once mimicked, holds the radio receiver with a casual menace. The device that represents our last hope of calling for backup, for any semblance of salvation, dangles from her elongated fingers like a toy. She regards it, and by extension, me, with a sort of detached curiosity, as if pondering the significance of this lifeline to the outside world. With a strength that seems to defy the sturdy construction of the receiver, she clenches her fist. The plastic cracks, the sound unnervingly loud in the oppressive silence of the night. Circuits and fragments of the outer casing begin to protrude from between her fingers, crushed beyond recognition, beyond use. The broken receiver in her hand crackles briefly, a ghost of a signal that fades as quickly as hope itself. Her eyes meet mine, a glint of cruel amusement in their depths. "No help is coming," she says, her voice a cold certainty. I try to move, but my limbs are unresponsive. The earth beneath me feels like an anchor, dragging me down. I realize that my body is bound by ropes made from what looks like sinew, tied to stakes around a bonfire that casts an ominous light on the scene before me. The heat is intense, close enough to sear the skin. The flames up higher for the dying embers of our resistance. Ben lies next to me, his breathing ragged, a dark stain spreading across his side where a skinwalker's claw found its mark. His face is a mask of pain, his eyes flickering with the fading light of consciousness. The crackling flames throw a dance of shadows upon the circle of skinwalkers that surround us, their number a grotesque assembly in the flickering light. The faces they wear are a perverse masquerade, each one a stolen visage from those I knew from the reservation, friends, elders, even children, all worn like masks by the abominations that now encircle the bonfire. Their eyes, though, betray the true horror behind the familiar features. No warmth or humanity resides there, only the cold fire of predatory malice. A young boy's face on one of the creatures contorts into a smile that's too wide, too twisted. The innocence of the child it once belonged to now a weapon of terror. An elder's face, wise and weathered with the years, is now just a hollow mockery on the creature wearing it, its lips moving in silent laughter that chills the blood. The air is thick with a stench of charred flesh and decay, a scent that seems to emanate from the skinwalkers themselves. The heat from the bonfire is suffocating, but it's nothing compared to the freezing dread that grips my heart. The most disturbing sight, however, is not the carnage or the malevolent creatures that surround us. It's the sight of Nayanesgani, the mythical slayer of alien gods, previously indomitable, now captured and subdued. The legends never prepared us for this, for the fall of such a powerful force. He is bound by some supernatural force, his potent weapons shattered and scattered like the bones of the earth. His horse, Yiska, who was once a fierce companion, its eyes blazing with the same fire as its master, is now tethered, its spirit seemingly broken under the yoke of the dark forces that have subdued them both. Yet even in this dire tableau, there's a flicker of the extraordinary that refuses to be extinguished. Neanezgani's eyes blaze through the eye holes of his featureless black mask, a pair of coals that seem to burn with an inner light undimmed by captivity. Those eyes meet mine, and for a moment, it's as if an electric current passes between us, a silent communication of shared struggle against the darkness that seeks to engulf us. I struggle against the ropes, the fibrous strands biting into my skin, but to no avail. Panic wells up inside me, but it's quickly quashed by a surge of determination. My fingers, numb and clumsy, fumble for the pocket knife I always carry. It's not much, but it's all I have. The tension around the bonfire is a living thing, a serpent that coils tighter with every passing second. Izzy, or the thing that once was Izzy, steps closer, her movements eerily smooth. Her hand is outstretched, a silent command hanging in the air between us. Her voice, when it finally breaks the silence, is a symphony of darkness, each word dripping with menace. "The heart of Tobadziskini," she says, her eyes fixed on me. "Give it to me." The stone in my pocket feels alive, its warmth against my thigh a stark contrast to the cold dread filling my chest. It pulses as if in response to her demand, its power a silent whisper against the clamor of fear. I can almost hear its rhythm, a beat that seems to sync with the desperate thumping of my heart. Ben's voice is weak but fierce, cutting through the heat and the terror with a razor-sharp defiance. "Don't give her a fucking thing," he rasps, his gaze locked onto mine, imploring, commanding. Ben's words hang in the air, but they are also a provocation that the creatures cannot ignore. As if on cue, one of the skinwalkers steps forward. Its movements are deliberate, filled with a cruel sort of pageantry. It stands above Ben, its eyes devoid of empathy, a reflection of the void where its soul should reside. The beast's strike is swift, its clawed hand impacting against Ben's side with a brutality that is both shocking and calculated. He doubles over, a stifled grunt of pain escaping his lips as the blow lands, the dark stain on his shirt spreading wider from the fresh wound. His face contorts with agony, but his eyes burn with an unspoken challenge, a refusal to yield even in the face of overwhelming odds. Finally, my fingertips brush against the familiar metal, and with a sense of relief that's almost painful, I manage to draw the knife from my pocket. The blade is small, and my movements are hindered by my bonds, but desperation lends me focus. I start sawing at the sinews, each stroke a small victory against the impending sense of doom. As I'm working on the rope, the creature that masquerades as Izzy drops the facade with a sickening fluidity, its form contorting and expanding into something far more sinister. The last vestiges of the woman I knew slew off like a discarded husk, revealing a nightmare-made flesh. It towers over me, its skin a tapestry of shadows, rippling with an otherworldly life of its own. Its eyes are abysses, pulling at the very essence of my being. I gasp for breath as it lifts me effortlessly by the neck, my feet dangling above the ground. The coldness of its touch is paradoxically burning, an icy fire that seeps into my skin, threatening to steal the very warmth from my blood. "Give it to me," it commands, its voice a cacophony of whispers that seem to come from all around, from within, from the very air itself. The stone in my pocket pulses more urgently now, its beat a frantic drum of warning, of power. I clutch it tightly, the last bastion of hope in a night that has seen too much despair. I can feel it, almost hear it, urging me to resist, to defy. I gasp for air, a strangled, futile attempt to sustain the life that is swiftly being choked from me. My hand instinctively claws at the creature's grip, the desperation to survive a burning flame within me. With its other hand, it reaches for the stone, which pulses against my skin through the fabric of my pocket. The stone's warmth is a stark contrast to the cold death that looms, a beacon of life amidst the shadows of demise. The creature's fingers probe, unerringly accurate, and with a coldness that seeps into my bones, it extracts the stone. The warmth leaves me, a departing friend, as the creature holds the heart aloft. The stone glows with a light that seems to pulse in protest, a heartbeat of defiance against the creature's triumph. And then, with an abruptness that leaves me breathless, the pressure on my neck vanishes. I plummet to the earth, the impact driving the air from my lungs, leaving me gasping and coughing on the cold, unforgiving ground. In a desperate bid for time, my voice emerges as a hoarse whisper. "What are you? What is your name?" The words feel like ash in my mouth, but they carry the weight of my last hope, a slender thread in the encroaching darkness. The creature's response is a symphony of discordance, a chilling chorus of voices that rise and fall in a nightmarish harmony. "We are Dakoas," they say, "the multitude." The voices are legion, an amalgamation of tones and pitches, male and female, old and young, each syllable vibrating with the power of countless souls. The words of the creature, Dakoas, send a cold shiver down my spine. I force out the words, my voice a mere breath. "Why? Why are you here? In this realm of mortals?" The entity that looms over me, a composite of nightmares, regards me with eyes that are an abyss as vast as the night sky. It gestures towards a pile of bone and sinew, a macabre altar at the edge of the firelight. "He summoned us," Dakoas continues, its voice a tapestry of lost souls, thinking the old ways, the forbidden ways, could save him from his sorrow, from his pain. He believed the stories, that the Ye Nald Lushi held power over life's miseries. Suddenly, it all makes sense to me. It's an all too familiar tale of desperation and misguided hope. The young Dinah's life, marred by loss and hardship, drove him to seek out the ancient, forbidden rituals. He reached across the veil, not understanding that some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. I noticed the skinwalkers moving with a purpose that is both terrifying and mesmerizing, their actions coordinated with an eerie precision that hints at a hive mind. They arrange oddly shaped stones and scatter what looks to be ashes in a large circle around the fire. Their voices, a dissonant chant that grates on the ears, rise in volume, resonating with the very earth beneath us. "You have fought with honor," Dakoas says, the multitude of its voices a haunting melody, "and so you shall be the honored offerings. Your spirits will fuel the opening of the gate, a bridge between worlds that will allow our kin to walk this earth. You will be the heralds of a new age, an age where the shadows rule and the light of man is extinguished." A cold realization dawns on me, a stark understanding of the magnitude of our situation. We are to be the keystones in a cosmic event, a sacrificial ritual that will unleash untold horrors upon the world. The thought is paralyzing, the gravity of it a weight that threatens to crush what little hope remains. In my mounting desperation, I saw at the ropes even more fervently, the blade of my pocket knife a blur of motion. My hands, slick with sweat and shaking from adrenaline, fumble, the knife slips, and suddenly there's a sharp pain, a warm wetness of my own blood that spills over my fingers. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Ben stirring. His movements are subtle, a quiet struggle against his own restraints. Our eyes meet, and in that fleeting glance, an unspoken understanding is forged. His voice, faint and delirious, cuts through the night. "Hey, Logan," he coughs out. "You remember that game we played against Red Mountain back in '06? I meet his gaze, and in it, I see a flicker of the old Ben. It's a memory that seems out of place within the nightmare we're in, but I catch his drift. I nod, a small smile tugging at the corner of my mouth despite the dread that encases us. "I remember," I reply, my voice steady. "Fourth quarter, down by 3, rain like a monsoon, mud up to our ankles. Remember that Hail Mary we pulled?" Ben asks with a grin. "How can I forget?" I whisper back, "We won." My knife finally bites through the last of the sinew, and my hands are free. The relief is short-lived, however, as I glimpse the sharp claws of the approaching skinwalkers, glinting with a malevolent promise in the firelight. They advance with an unsettling synchrony, their intentions written in the cold gleam of their eyes. Dakos, the entity of nightmares, moves towards me with the inevitability of a storm rolling over the plains. But just as it nears, just as its shadow looms over me like the wings of death, there's a blur of motion, a figure propelled by sheer will and desperation. It's Ben. With a primal yell that cuts through the night, he launches himself at the creature, tackling it with his full weight. He catches it utterly off guard. Their bodies collide with a force that resonates through the desert, a clash of life against the unlife. They grapple, a tangle of limbs and fury, and then calamity. Their bodies collapse into the bonfire, a maelstrom of embers and flame erupting skyward. The fire consumes them in its ravenous dance, and for a moment, the world is nothing but fire and shadow. The others halt, their chant breaking. A collective shudder runs through them, as if Ben's act has sent a shockwave through their shared consciousness. They reel, their grotesque faces contorting in shared agony, the hive mind disrupted by the sacrifice of one defiant soul. Amidst the chaos, the heart of Tobadzaskini flies from the grasp of the faltering Dakos. Its glow grows brighter as it breaks free. Time seems to slow as the stone arcs through the air, its trajectory a silver line in the night. Instinct takes over. I lunge forward, my hand outstretched, every muscle coiled and ready. The stone's warmth calls to me, a beacon in the darkness, and as I leap, I feel the heat of the fire on my face, the cold bite of the night at my back. My fingers close around the stone in midair, its pulse hammering against my palm. I hit the ground rolling, the momentum carrying me forward. The weight of the heart in my hand is a solid certainty in the chaos. As I roll to my feet, I see the slayer of alien gods, still bound but with his eyes fixed intently upon me, ablaze with an intensity that could rival the inferno that Ben and the creature have become. There's no time for doubt, no room for error. Every sinew in my body tenses as I rear back, my arm cocked in preparation. The skinwalkers, their unity fractured, turn their attention towards me, a multitude of horrors converging on my position. Their hisses and snarls fill the air, a cacophony of malice that seeks to paralyze me with fear. But the sight of Nayanezgani, a warrior fallen but not defeated, ignites a fire within me that no terror can quench. Dakos emerges from the fire, a horror reborn, its form charred but unbroken. With a swift and cruel motion, it plunges its claws into Ben's chest. The sound is terrible, a wet, final noise that echoes across the mesa, a death knell that seems to pierce the night itself. Ben's body jerks once, a puppet with its strings cut, and then falls limp. With a defiant cry that echoes across the desolate landscape, I hurl the heart through the tumultuous air towards the demon slayer. Time narrows to a single thread, stretching taut as the stone cleaves through the night. It glimmers like a star against the darkness, a fleeting hope against the encroaching despair. The skinwalkers lurch forward in a grotesque ballet, their claws extended, trying to intercept the stone's flight. But their movements are sluggish, disjointed by the loss of their collective will, their forms stumbling over one another in a disarray that was once unthinkable. Neanezgini's eyes track the stone, the only points of light in the black mask that encases his visage. His form strains against the invisible shackles that bind him, the muscles in his arms bulging with a Herculean effort as he fights to break free from the supernatural fetters. The stone nears, spinning through the smoky air, and for a heartbeat, it seems as though it will overshoot its mark. But the tethering force that holds him bound seemingly weaker in the wake of the chaos, giving his arms just enough range of movement. The demon slayer's hands, imbued with the power of countless battles, snatch the heart from the air with an accuracy born of legend. As the stone touches his skin, a shiver runs through the air itself, a vibration that resonates with the ancient power of the earth. The air around us begins to shimmer, a mirage in the desert heat, but this is no illusion. From the heart of the stone, a light emerges, soft at first, then blinding in its intensity. The light coalesces, and there, amidst the inferno of chaos and the scent of scorched earth, an ethereal figure takes form. It's Tobadziskini, the waterborn, twin sister to Neanezgini. Her presence is like a tide, the ebb and flow of an otherworldly ocean contained within the silhouette of a deity. Her form, while radiant and awe-inspiring, carries a haunting echo of the dead woman we found at Chronicle Ridge. The skinwalkers recoil as if the very light she exudes is anathema to their existence, their shadows writhing in torment at the purity that confronts them. Tobadziskini raises her hands, and from her fingertips flow rivulets of water that are like streams of stars, glowing with an inner luminescence that paints the night with streaks of silver and blue. These streams of celestial water weave around Neanezgini, unraveling the chains that bind him. The bonds disintegrate, falling away like the remains of a terrible dream upon waking. His figure rises, empowered, his posture that of the warrior of legend, indomitable once more. Together, the twins stand, a harmony of elements, fire and water, strength and fluidity. Neanezgini retrieves the remnants of his shattered weapons, and with a gesture from Tobadziskini, they knit together, reborn in a fusion of flame and mist. The skinwalkers, those twisted parodies of life, hesitate as the twins prepare to unleash their righteous fury. There is a moment, brief as a heartbeat, where the world seems to hold its breath, and then chaos is unleashed. The demon slayer mounts his steed. The ground trembles beneath Yiska's hooves as it charges, each step a drumbeat of war. The air shimmers around the waterborn, her water-weaving hands orchestrating currents that dance with lethal grace. The first skinwalker to meet Neanezgini's charge does so with a hiss of rage, but its fury is quickly extinguished. With a swing of his hatchet, Neanezgini strikes the creature down, and it collapses, its form disintegrating into dust and shadow. The others, sensing their peril, launch themselves at the pair with a desperate ferocity, but they are no match for the divine siblings. Tobadziskini's movements are fluid, her aqueous assaults ensnaring and quenching the malevolent flames of the skinwalker's essence. Each time her hands move, Another enemy is undone, washed away as if they were nothing more than ink stains upon the fabric of reality. I watch, caught between awe and horror, as the battle unfolds. The twins move with a synchronicity that is beautiful and terrifying, a dance of destruction that leaves no room for the darkness that had so nearly overwhelmed us. The skinwalkers wail and screech, their forms unraveling under the onslaught of fire and water, light and shadow. As they fall one by one, turned to dust and memory by the combined might of the divine siblings, they turn their gaze upon Dacoas, the multitude, the core of the evil that has spread across the Navajo nation. Their approach is measured, each step a declaration of their unfaltering resolve. Dacoas, the amalgamation of nightmares, stands defiant, its form a swirling mass of darkness, its voices a cacophony of discordant whispers that claw at the mind. Nayanesgani raises his reforged hatchet, now glowing with a fierce inner light. Beside him, Tobadziskini's hands dance, weaving streams of glowing water that hum with the song of the stars. The mesa becomes the stage for a reckoning, the air thick with the electric charge of impending fate. The embodiments of primordial forces draw closer to the heart of darkness that is Dacoas. The ground beneath them cracks, the very earth acknowledging the weight of their purpose. In a confluence of power, the siblings begin to merge, their forms intertwining in a spiraling dance of elemental fury. Fire and water, strength and fluidity. The duality of their essences fuse into a singular, awe-inspiring entity. Their voices unite in a harmonic convergence that resonates with the ancient songs of creation, a melody that weaves through the cosmos, binding and compelling. The being that stands before Dacoas is neither Nayanesgani nor Tobadziskini, but an embodiment of their combined wrath and guardianship. It radiates a brilliance that casts no shadow, a luminous paradox that is both the beacon of dawn and the shroud of the eventide. This being of fire-water light, with eyes that hold the depth of oceans and the blaze of suns, fixes its gaze upon the multitude. Dacoas, the hive of lost souls, recoils as if its very existence is an affront to the purity before it. The whispers that make up its voice fracture, a discordant choir coming undone. It thrashes against the inevitable, its shadowy tendrils writhing in the glow of the unified deity. The entity that was once two siblings raises its arms, and from its fingertips flows a cascade of power that is the confluence of river and flame. The air crackles, reality bending around the might that is unleashed. A torrent of fire-infused water, a river of stars and embers, surges towards Dacoas with a purpose that is both cleansing and absolute. Dacoas meets its end with a silence that is louder than any scream. Its form unravels, the whispers ceasing as each soul is touched by the purifying firestorm. The shadows that composed its being are exorcised, banished back to the void from whence they came, leaving nothing but a whisper of darkness that dissipates with the dawn's first light. The silence in the aftermath of the battle feels as deep as the history that has unfolded before us. The twins, their forms beginning to disentangle, stand as solitary figures against the canvas of the night. They look towards me, their expressions inscrutable, yet in their eyes, I see an ancient weariness mixed with relief. I approach them tentatively, my footsteps hesitant on the blood-soaked earth. The Navajo words come to me, a language taught to me by my grandmother, its cadence carrying the weight of my respect and gratitude. Ehihi shirke du shaidi ni, I say, my voice low. Thank you, my brother and sister. Nayanesgani nods. I sense the ghost of a smile under his mask. Aji Tigo. You all have fought with courage, he replies. the timbre of his voice resonating with the strength that had turned the tide of the battle. I move with a solemn grace to where Ben's body lies, the embers of the battle still glowing faintly in the night. I kneel beside him, my hands gently closing the eyes of my fallen friend. The demon slayer turns to me, his voice a soft echo of the force it wielded in battle. Amasani Yaji Yidloiji Yinishi. The mother spirit opens her arms to him. He assures me, his tone imbued with a deep-seated reverence. The waterborn steps forward, her movement fluid and imbued with a tranquility that belies the recent tumult. She reaches out, and her touch is cool, soothing against the raw burns and gashes that mar my flesh. The pain ebbs away under her fingers, the wounds knitting together as if compelled by the silent whispers of the earth itself. There is no scar, no trace of the ordeal, just the faintest sensation of water evaporating on skin. Her eyes, clear as the high desert sky, meet mine, and within them, I find an unfathomable depth, a calm that speaks of storms weathered and calm seas navigated. Haguni, nay Keatali, go in peace, brave warrior, she says, her voice the gentle murmur of a stream, yet carrying with it the authority of crashing waves. As the sun's first light crests the horizon, the sky is painted with hues of orange and purple, a daily rebirth witnessing the end of an ageless conflict. The twins turn from me, their silhouettes stark against the dawning day. Nayanezgani mounts his steed, a magnificent creature that seems to hold the storm within its eyes. Tobadziskini simply steps forward, and where her feet touch the earth, small blooms of desert flowers spring forth. They ride off towards the horizon, where the sun's rays are just beginning to peek over the vast expanse of the desert. Their figures grow smaller, blending with the natural beauty of the land until they are indistinguishable from the mirage-like waves of heat rising from the ground. I am left in the silence of the aftermath, alone but for the spirits of the place and the memories of the night. The weight of the ordeal still presses upon me, yet there is a newfound stillness in my soul. In the days that follow, the Navajo Nation reels from the wounds inflicted upon it by an ancient evil that had been awakened and then vanquished. The aftermath is a landscape of sorrow, marred by the echoes of what was nearly a cataclysm. Yet, amidst the grief, there is an unyielding spirit, a communal heart that beats with resilience. I move among my people, my presence a silent testament to the battle fought, to the darkness that we overcame. The air is filled with the soft sounds of mourning, the gentle cadences of prayer, and the steadfast declarations of hope. Families gather, their arms wrapped around one another, their faces streaked with tears for loved ones lost, homes destroyed, but spirits unbroken. We work tirelessly, hands joined in solidarity, to rebuild what was damaged. Temporary shelters rise from the ashes. Food and supplies are shared with a generosity that humbles me. We are a community knitted together by tradition and the unspoken knowledge that our strength lies in our unity. As the days unfold, the federal government steps in, their agents arriving with promises of aid and support. My people gather, watching the convoys of trucks and the suited officials with a wariness born of a long history of broken promises and misguided interventions. We accept the help because it's needed, but we do so cautiously, always mindful of the sovereignty of our nation and the self-reliance that has seen us through so much. Everywhere I go, I carry with me the story of those dark days, the tale of the twins and of Izzy Ramirez, Ben Tahoma, all those who laid down their lives to stop the darkness from enveloping the world. I share it with the elders, the children, with anyone who will listen. The story spreads, not as a legend, but as a testament to our endurance, to the courage of those who fought, I speak my truth, not as a hero, but as a witness, offering my voice when needed, my silence when it is not. While the soul of the nation heals, I return to the open expanse of the tribal lands, the red earth that has borne witness to both the turmoil and the triumph of its people. I take up my duties once more, patrolling the vast Navajo territory as a guardian of the Dainita. One day, while on patrol, the crackle of the radio momentarily splinters the silence that had become my constant companion across the sprawling landscape of the res. The familiar voice of Mandy threads through the static. Unit 17, do you copy? This is Unit 17. Go ahead, dispatch, I reply. What's up, Mandy? Hey, Logan. Just checking in, she says, her tone casual yet tinged with an unspoken concern. Everything quiet out there? All quiet on the Western Front, I say with a smile that I know she can hear in my voice. Copy that, Unit 17. Stay safe out there, Mandy replies, and I can almost see her nodding, the worry lines smoothing out from her forehead with my reassurance. I always do, dispatch, I reply. There's a brief crackle as the line threatens to go silent, but I break the pause. How's everything back at the station? Routine as ever, just paperwork and the occasional walk-in. She answers with a hint of boredom that betrays the mundanity of her day. Her attempt at lightness does its job, bringing a brief chuckle from me. The line hums with our shared understanding of the uneventful calm that follows any storm of activity. Taking a deep breath, I find the courage that's been simmering inside me, strengthened by recent events and the stark reminder that life's too fleeting to let chances slip by. Hey, Mandy, I start. I've been meaning to ask you something. Oh, there's a curious tilt to that one word, an invitation to continue. I grip the steering wheel a little tighter, as if it could anchor me in this moment. Would you? After work, would you want to grab a coffee with me sometime? The radio silence that follows is filled with the electric buzz of anticipation. Then her voice comes through, clear and warm, the smile audible in her words. Yeah, I'd like that. I'd like that a lot. How about this Thursday? She suggests. That works for me, I reply, relief washing over me like the first rains after a drought. Great, it's a date then. I'll see you then, she confirms, and we say our goodbyes, ending the call. As I sign off and steer my vehicle across the familiar trails of the desert, the vast expanse doesn't seem quite so expansive anymore.